Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of Snap on This, a Marvel Snap podcast. I'm your host, LaurenWhatevs. With it being an even-numbered episode, we're going to throw it over to Ben first. Co-host Ben, how was your week in Snap? And keep it snappy.
Well, it shouldn't be too hard to keep it snappy, as I always endeavor to do this week, because I didn't play a whole ton of Snap, especially after Sanctum Showdown disappeared. That really bummed me out. I was having a great time in Sanctum Showdown. Oh, wow. Got so many dang cards. So many cards. Oh, wowzers. Let me see what I got. I ended up with I already had Wiccan. How do I filter these new cards? Show me the newest. Only the newest cards for me. That's right. I got Ares. I got Gore. I got Anti-Venom. Who else did I get?
Those are some good ones.
Yeah, maybe that's... Oh, yeah, I said Ares, Gore, Anti-Venom.
And then the 3 portal cards.
Oh, and then the 3 portal cards. Oh, and Bruce Banner.
And Bruce Banner.
Of course. I paid gold for the last one, which I guess turned out to be Ares, but mostly I got there with charms. And wow, I had a lot of fun with that game mode. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I loved my deck. It is a shame I disassembled it. And there's no point talking about it on the podcast because I'm sure there will be different cards banned next time and this deck won't work the same way. But oh, wow. I really felt like I had it figured out. I was winning so many more than I was losing, and it was feeling great. I was having a blast. It was great times. And then ladder and Hella and why would I want to I just wasn't that interested in that. But I started playing a little bit of ladder. Once Sanctum disappeared, I did have to do my dailies, and I was doing them on ladder. So I've been slowly climbing up. I'm still in the 70s. I really have not been playing ladder, but the deck that I have been playing is an oldie but a goodie. That's right. It's Wave Flourish, my very tried and true Silver Surfer list that I've been playing since, I don't know, sometime mid-2024, late 2024. I don't know. The newest card in the deck is probably Gwenpool. So that should tell you something. I don't know. Maybe Copycat. I don't know. I don't remember the release orders of cards, as we have learned. While playing
those are from the
games.
same season.
Okay. Then yeah, sure.
Copycat's newer, but just barely.
All right, Copycat's the newest card in the deck. But yes, for those who don't recall, that's America Chavez, Forge, Jeff, Brood, Silver Surfer, Red Guardian, Hope Summers, Nocturne, Sebastian Shaw, Copycat, Absorbing Man, and Gwenpool. And I've had a great time with that deck. It has always done right by me in tournaments, on ladder, in post-infinite stuff, in Conquest. It's just a great go-to. Highly recommend if you enjoy Silver Surfer-y things. It's just a very solid, well-balanced list that just keeps being good over and over again. And that's what I have found to be true with it so far. Just this season. It feels strong into the meta at this moment. But I don't know. OTA is going to shake things up. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. I don't know.
It absolutely will.
It probably wasn't. I didn't play it enough to say that it's definitely solid in this meta, but it felt like it was doing the things. The number was going up, and I wasn't running into that many bots. Although you never know. I don't know. That's my rambling weekend snap. Trying to spin content out of not that many games played, especially after Sanctum went away, and nobody wants to hear about Sanctum, and that's just what I was playing, dang it. Oh well.
Hey, if you're doing all right in Hella Clog negative meta, I'm pretty sure it'll do fine once that meta ends. Our other co-host, Ree, how was your weekend snap?
Okay. So I want to use my weekend snap to talk about comics because my comics corner is a nebulous floating thing that only exists when we will it into reality. So first I would briefly just say about Snap, I made out in Sanctum. I got all cards, new cards that you can get. I got grinded out all 3 new cards. Then I grinded out 3 of the 4 cards myself with charms. I never ran out of scrolls. I ended the time crossed with still scrolls to be spent, as you would in any good video game playthrough. And then I bought the last one with gold, with all of my gold. I have like no gold anymore. It's a very weird position for me to be in. Like a variant could come up that I wanted to buy and I would not have the purchasing power for it, which is a position I usually don't allow my gold level to fall to. But yes, I got like Joaquin Torres. I did get Scream next after Bruce.
Yay!
And yeah. And you know, one other card. Don't forget. Oh, Toxin. You know, he's so bouncy. I've already tried to play him, but I'm like, so much bouncing. Okay, anyway. So that's why, other than that, outside of that, and I also just played so much Sanctum that I played like no ladder. Like I'm not even infinite yet because I've just barely played any ladder at all. In my non-Sanctum time, I have been putting Nomura and Agamotto together in all of the ways and experiencing the vast joy of Images of Icon, turning Zabu and Psylocke and whoever else we have there, Phastos, into other Nomuras. And that's been a great joy. Yes, I made one first with Nimrod and it crushed and I had so much fun, but it's like Nimrod was the star, to be honest. Nimrod was the star of that deck. And I was like, no, but this is about Nomura. This is her spotlight. So I mean, not metaphorically, not in the sense of game terms. Okay. So, and so I put her together with some other cards and you know, she works with Agamotto because what you want to do with Nomura is not fill a bunch of locations. And Agamotto allows that to happen. So, okay, distracted. Okay, so Comics Corner. I have been catching up on Avengers recently, and I'm not all the way caught up, so don't spoil it for me, listeners, if you're all the way, because I know they started into the next crossover, so with Doom. Because here's the whole problem that's upcoming for them is that, so when Blade was possessed by the first vampire Varney, and tried to send the world into eternal night, as one does, then in order to save everything, as one of the things, they gave Sorcerer Supreme to Doom. Like, hey, villain, take this temporary power. Do you promise to give it back? And he said, yes, I promise to give it back when the world is safe again. Because, you know, like that, and it's like, come on. We all were reading that, and we're like, well, like, duh, obviously his definition of the world being safe is going to, like, vastly, you know, like, they always, like, do this kind of stuff.
Read a book. Anyway, I mean, honestly, Avengers, you gullible dipshits.
Yeah, so that's he actually just stopped by the Avengers to be like, hey, why haven't you, with your power, like just taken over the world and made it perfect? And they're like, hey, you know, so they tried it. They like good faith. Oh, Avengers, good faith arguing Doom for first time. So they're like, you know, hey, we went down that road and here's all the like right reasons why it's wrong, why you don't get to decide what's right for everyone, all of the things.
Is it like on the Bachelor family of shows where like Hawkeye will pull you aside and be like, Victor Von Doom's not here for the right reasons. I think he's, you know.
Yeah, someone needs to be like, hey, man, just give it up. But like, yeah, so at the end, he's like, okay, you've proven it to me that you are weak and you will not do it. And you've cemented me in my actions. And they're like, oh, we failed to convince him. It's like, no, he only ever came to convince himself of his own rightness in this argument. It's like, I know people like that. Okay, Jed McKay, I think has been writing Avengers, and he's hit or miss, but he does like good team stuff that's fun sometimes. So, and you know, like it's like just like all the leaves are rustling in the wind for this coming up, because they also recently in I think it was maybe even the last issue I read, where like, you know, Avengers versus X-Men, Carol Danvers comes up and says, Cyclops, Scott Summers, get out here. Do you think that you could beat us? to a game of baseball, because that's how Avengers versus X-Men happens now. They have like an adorable little game of baseball, and
that's how you flex your powers.
In Twilight?
Yeah, they have a vampire baseball game.
But only during
I've never seen Twilight. I refuse to watch it, even ironically.
I watched all of them in the past year for, just for broadening my horizons. And wow, there's some wild movies. Not going to read the book. Those movies are wild.
Okay, I did hear the vampire sparkle. I thought it was a joke at first, but it's like real, apparently.
No, that was like the basis of the entire series.
Yep.
Oh, that they sparkle?
But she had like a dream about a vampire sparkling, and that's why they can't go in the sun.
Okay. Well, yes, I've neither read nor seen nor respect the Twilight series. Not that I judge you if you like them. That's fine. You can like them. I like lots of stupid things.
These movies have one of the great Uncanny Valley babies. Just the creepiest little CGI child. Oh, wow.
I so hate the YA setup of like, she's one girl, but there are only two boys that exist in the whole world, and she must choose one. And this is just as important as the whole world ending because she is a teenager, which is like true and accurate and real. But like,
of course, no,
like,
that part.
But I'm an adult, so like I like, but like I don't know. I mean, but I see now I'm just sounding like I'm insulting you. I like lots of juvenile things, so I'm not judging. I don't like that, like fantasy, which is a genre I like, has gotten all meshed. Everything gets meshed up in romance, and it's like I don't care for it personally. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Anyway, so this is what like the Avengers, have had going on. This season, I kind of just want to talk about Black Panther briefly. A little setup. Okay, so recently Thor had to leave the Avengers because, as Thor does, he's like, hey, I'm all about Midgard, 100% Midgard, until I get shit going on in Asgard because, they're my real family. So, like,
dual citizenship.
Yeah. So to take his place, he's like, well, we clearly need some thunder on the team, or some lightning, hand in hand. So he goes to Storm, of course, right? So Storm joins the Avengers. Storm, because Storm is everything.
As she has in the past. This is not unprecedented.
The Avengers is a revolving wheel of adventureness. But like, so when she joins in, so if you were unaware, Black Panther and Storm are famously together now, famously divorced. It's pretty awkward for Black Panther. So he decides to go on the solo mission alone, right? And Sam Wilson is like, hey, like, are you just doing this because your ex is coming on? Because, like, this is really dangerous and, like, really, like, you shouldn't just do it to avoid. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm a dip. Because, like, I do not fear death. The only thing, I love the way he phrases, so Black Panther. The only thing the Black Panther fears is losing. And I lost Storm. And it's like,
oh my gosh. Yeah,
I would be embarrassed too if I lost the woman with the best variants in all the game. Like, pretty bad. So he goes on this. Oh, okay. So like T'Challa this time is like having things stuff. A while ago, Ta-Nehisi Coates had a great run where Wakanda was like, so hey, what if? So I know there's this whole monarchy thing. But we've like kind of seen the outside world, joined it a bit and like, what if we do the whole democracy thing for a while? What if we all get a choice, and ultimately, they do. Because if he's going to really be a true king, recognize the choices of people is the most important. It's a wild run because it's when they brought Shuri back. And she was like old when she came back, but then she came out in the movies. So they decided to de-age her in the comics. But instead of taking the route they should have taken, which was like the JRPG route of like, this is just the way the world is now, accept it. Like, they're like, let us explain how she de-aged like back from an old woman. Anyway, so T'Challa at this point is, the run was so good. That's where the Midnight Angels get introduced, which is where a pair of his like bodyguards decide more than the king they love each other, and they're going to come out of the closet and protect the little people. Because sometimes when, some bomb lesbians come out of the closet, monarchies get toppled. Because they were so cool. Like, they were like the coolest part of that run for me, to be honest with you. So at this point, T'Challa's like, okay, my bodyguards are more into each other than me. I'm not a king anymore. I've been deposed. Everyone thinks my little sister's way cool. And, so he goes to this planet with these, all these warring tribes, and he decides to, unite them to take over the kings. And he has this great little monologue, which, monologues in comics are always iffy, because it's they get boring real easy, real fast, or real tropey. But he's kind of talking about how he's just how he challenges them, and the point, his violence is just almost like a byproduct of him challenging the leader, of putting on this show to convince everyone to join him. So and this is where Black Panther is at his best, because it's because he's a king by nature, not just by blood. So it's Black Panther sometimes at his best is strip out all his tech, sort of temple of him from Breath of the Wild, where all of his gear has gone away, back to square basics. Here's a twig branch you can use as a sword, go. And from this, he unites the warring tribes, joins everything, climbs the top. And as he's at the top, he sits and wonders, am I just building myself another kingdom to replace the one I lost, and just has this moment of deep therapy that a lot of men don't usually allow themselves. So it was an interesting, it made me reflect on Black Panther's journey thus far. Anyway, sorry, that was my random sporadic ramblings on comics for however long I did that.
Not that long. It's fine.
Yeah, we love Ree's Comic Corner.
I found it very entertaining and informative. Just enjoyable all around.
I can talk so much about comics, to be honest.
Well,
I want to hear about your week, though, Lauren.
Sure. Speaking of Ree's Comics Corner, we added 2 more channels to our Discord, which is, part of the Snap Judgments League Discord. But there's a channel dedicated to Ree's Comics Corner. That's what it's called. Go talk about comics there if you want to. There's also one, it's called Report Your Shame. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not, because to me it sounds kind of mean.
Yeah, I don't love it personally. I mean, nobody asked me about it, but yeah.
Look, not to throw models under the bus. Yeah, it was my name, but not to throw models under the bus, but Models the Motto Supreme over there was asking, it needs to have a clever name. And that was one of a few I gave. And I was like, that, if you get the joke, if you're lighthearted about it, then sure, it's great. But if you're sensitive about your climb, maybe Report Your Shame isn't the friendliest vibe. Yeah.
I get the feeling that some people are sensitive about their climbs. That's the feeling I get.
I think so.
I think
out in the
problem
world.
is just how people should interact with it is baked into the title.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And I think
sorry, I didn't mean to dive
more
the
sensitive
title.
people who need to.
I'm very sensitive. I am a snowflake in the summer breeze. Okay.
I'm a very sensitive person too. Not necessarily about my infinite climb, but about other things. Very empathic to those around me. And it's for helping you with your infinite climb, because I talked about in the previous episode about, reporting my cube gains and losses to Glazer, and it wasn't something he asked for or asked me to do, but I did it proactively. And I found that when I knew I was going to be reporting, I made much better decisions. So that's the whole point of this channel. You can, if you want to, tell us that you're going to be focusing on climbing, and then you have to report to us later. So maybe you'll make better decisions. That's the whole point. It has worked successfully for at least one person so far. So, check it out if you want to. To wrap up on Sanctum, I got 7 cards also. I probably spent about 1,000 to 1,500 gold total on the entire event. Some of it was spending extra on scrolls because I really loved it. I had a lot of fun playing the game mode.
It's a lot of fun.
And then after last week's episode, when I said something like, guys, if the next card I get is Hulkling, I'll play a Hulkling deck. And of course, that's exactly what I did. And I paid gold to finish up that card, and I drew a Hulkling. So I owe you a report on a Hulkling deck. I haven't done that yet. And then the 7th card I got without any gold. I grinded my way through. The compensation helped a bit, and I got Essen. So my set of cards on top of the 3 that, the 3 portal cards. I got Corvus Glaive, Essen, the Searcher, the Celestial, the 6 Isan.
Oh, okay.
I've heard more and more people call him Essen, so I was like, oh, maybe this is the correct pronunciation.
I have no idea.
Idea.
This is the first I've heard of it.
Okay, Isan
the
Searcher.
I mispronounce things like someone that mostly reads.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Isan better, but I have no idea, and I don't know what the source of the name is or anything like that. Anyway,
I also have no idea. And the made
on
up
his
words
release
are,
week, I avoided spending tokens and keys just in case I got him from Sanctum, and that's exactly what I did. I got Corvus, Thaddeus Ross, Hulkling, and Essen, and I don't know how much I'm going to play any of them, but hey, it was 7 cards for 1,500 gold.
Right? That's the victory of Sanctum. I'm down to I'm only missing 4 cards now. There's a point where I was back to missing 11. It's thank you, second dinner. I am down to only missing 4 cards. Good job. I'm a season pass buyer. I should be mostly collection complete by my opinion as a subscriber to the game. Right.
Yeah. I agree. And I have I have weird feelings about Sanctum. I don't want to give the vibe off that I'm upset about getting 7 cards for 1,500 gold. That's an amazing deal. I like growing my collection. I like having toys, even if they're not toys I'm going to play with very often. And I would have used all my scrolls anyway because I was having so much fun in the game mode. But also, I did not like the pressure to grind. Because it's the best deal ever. I have to get as many medallions as possible or charms as possible. I need to try my best. I need to, be playing a deck that's doing well. And I didn't like that aspect of it. But I would still be playing Sanctum if it was around today. And that's not how the previous game modes have been. The previous game modes, I'm glad when they're done. Do you two feel similarly about Sanctum versus the other game modes? Do you like
Absolutely.
Sanctum better than High Voltage and Deadpool's Diner?
Well, I think some of it is it just feels good to win, and I wasn't winning in High Voltage the way I was winning in Sanctum. That it just was not the same.
You cracked it, yeah.
I would have if the pressure were lower and the rewards weren't so good, I would have experimented more. But I found very early on a deck that was just trashing people, and I just kept playing it the whole time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I never got to the full level of trashing that you did, but by the time I found a deck that was winning, 2/3 of the time, which is still great.
That's trashing people. I think that's trashing people.
I'm not going to fiddle with this anymore. It's working. Maybe I could make it better, but I don't want to risk not doing. I don't know. Anyway,
they hit different parts for me, in the game. So in Sanctum, it hit the hey, look how clever I am, because there was one big strategy that most people that were just trying to get through and get stuff were using, which was Guardians, right? Guardians, do you drum? Can you play them, right? So then that next tier, that honestly, sometimes you don't see this a lot in Ladder because it's just more the decks that are intertwining are more complex. But here there was a very real second tier that would just win all the time. That was just I know the strategy everyone else is playing and play around that, which is just make people whiff their Guardians by moving stuff around.
Oh, it feels so good. It's so funny.
Right.
Watching them whip 4 is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
The surprise Iron Man, the kitty that built, so it's we did it in different ways, but we did it, and then you win, and it's I feel so good, I solved Sanctum, and you were getting
It must
rewards.
feel really bad for those other people, right? The people getting by with Guardians and trying to
weren't into that, yes.
I mean, I went
that
on
was
a bad
probably
stretch, I don't know, the half of a week following the second round of bans, I was having a very bad win rate, and that was very disheartening.
There were bots, though.
That's true. Yes, if you lost 3 in a row or something like that, you would keep getting bots until you beat one.
But I think that was another nice thing about the rewards being low-costed gold, because if it wasn't your ticket, you know what I mean, you could kind of pick stuff up for not too much. The thing with high voltage for me is this satisfied, like, a different part. So this one was, like, figuring out, like I said, I spent the whole first night of Sanctum, because remember, we did a podcast after that, and I was like, I have done all of Sanctum. Here's what I've learned. You know, like the old-timey mariner. Like, and it's like, it's been one day for you. It's like, oh. But anyway, high voltage, though, it's the decks that I don't build because they're not reliable enough for me. You know, for me, you know, I want to be able to compete everywhere. You know, I don't like these real narrow decks, so I build broadly. But with high voltage and kind of lesser emphasis on winning and stuff, I got to just be like, what can I do with the lot of energy? You know what I mean? And have fun that way. And that satisfied a different portion of fun for me, you know? So I like different things, but I agree. Sanctum could stay around forever if they rotated lists to freshen things up and have a new thing to solve. But like at the same time, I think they can't though, right? Because they need people in Conquest and stuff. I mean, they have bots in both modes, but it's like, and they, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, they're cautious about splitting up queues. I loved how tactical Sanctum was. I think high voltage is fun, but the thing I like most about it is knocking out bounties easily. Like,
that is a big selling point for sure.
That's not like inherent to high voltage, right? That's like meta fun, which is fine, but I don't know. I feel like high voltage gets solved so fast, and maybe people feel that way about Sanctum because some of the decks were very samey, but yeah, I found it fun to answer all the sameness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Sanctum better than Conquest.
Oh, I agree. Like, rather than playing multiple games, one longer game. Yeah, I do prefer it.
Yeah. Okay. This week's new release, Starbrand, a 310. Ongoing. Your opponent has +3 power at each other location. Did you get it? Have you tried it?
I haven't gotten it yet. I might get it. I'm not sure. Not sure. I feel like if I get it, I'm not going to use it. But
yeah, I know that feeling.
I don't know. But if I am going to get it, I might as well get it while I can get some tokens on the weekend. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's always a tough call.
Yeah. It was pretty much what I thought, to be honest. I don't know that I see that he goes in a, like I said, he will go in Sauron. He will, you know, combine. What I did with him is I assume that my list probably looks like a lot of other lists. I didn't see what else is out there, but it's Surtur cards and it's Sauron cards with a little Zabu action, of course, which I guess is Surtur, right? Usually mashed together. And honestly, I think I saw some people saying it was mid. For me, it crushed because I didn't see Shang once while I was playing this deck somehow on Starbrand week, which I don't know, if you're going into have unprotected snap without Shang, I just don't know what to tell you. When it's Starbrand week, so I just slaughtered with it all day long. But that's only because I feel like I wasn't seeing obvious counters. And Enchantress, right? If you have a deck that doesn't rely on any ongoing, so many decks now piece in some ongoings. Victoria Hand, so many of those. And if you don't need it all, just Enchantress forever. Beautiful. I have such a beautiful inky white crackle Enchantress, currently on a peach Momoko with a white neon border, and it got the hard eyes, and she deserves them. So I was glad I got to bust her out. Anyway, and Zabu friend, always fun.
Yeah, I got Starbrand in one key, which is always I was waffling, and then when you decide to get it and you spend the keys and you get one, you're like, yeah, I'm glad I made that decision.
Yeah, well done, past Lauren.
Yeah. And the Fastos and the Scar variants are good, but not good enough for me to keep spending keys.
Fastos is very good. I'm doing it. Live on the air.
Do it live on air. Let us know how it goes. Starbrand went basically exactly how I thought. It is a very manageable downside. I don't think it... Ooh, Scar
first.
I don't think it makes Sauron good enough. but it helps Sauron. Waiting for the next spotlight key.
I also got Scar. I got 2 keys, Scar and then Starbrand. When what I wanted was the Phastos variant. Oh, you got the Phastos variant. I wanted it.
That's honestly what tipped me over the edge. Even though I'm not like a variant person, I am a Phastos person, and I was a Silk person, and there was a time when I spent extra spotlight keys for Silk, really breaking all the rules of my own like personhood. I don't know. Let's get Starbrand.
I want to celebrate that, but it sounds bad.
This was like more than a year ago now. Starbrand, no tokens for me.
No tokens, me neither.
Hey, a 3 is not bad, especially if you wanted the Phastos variant.
And I did.
I won't spend an extra key for an extra 2, but I wanted it.
Yeah. I put Starbrand in my own deck. I goofed off with him, and I did try a couple other things. Like I might have played Surtur a couple times. I put him in a Moneyball deck, which is something that Bangers made a while ago to manage a bunch of cards with downside, right? Like this is old Atuma with armor and 0, and like it was an extremely cool deck. And I put that in an updated version of this list. So I'm rocking Zabu because there's 3/4 costs, and then 0, Armor, Cosmo, and Enchantress are all ways that I'm managing downside. It is really, really fun to hit Enchantress on I had one game where I hit it on Starbrand and opponent's Morbius on the same turn at the end of the game. Nice. It's just like a huge swing. Awesome. Enchantress is a great card, but I just think she's hard to run unless you're doing like a Sarah Tech deck or you want to Enchantress your own things. Most of the time you just want like a Shang or a Red Guardian instead because they're more flexible.
I know, it's sad. She has so much better variants.
Yeah. I really wonder, can you make Enchantress a 4/7? Like, when they first made her a 4/6, she was everywhere, and they quickly put her back down to 4/5. Mm-hmm. Anyway. I also have Venom to manage downsides, because if he eats Starbrand or Atuma or Typhoid Mary, then their ongoing ability goes away. Cosmo is stopping Maximus and Gladiator, who are just big ol' stats, right? And then I have Scar in here because there are 3 10s plus another 10 if Venom hits 10, which is very doable. And it was very fun. I don't know if it was good. This was during Hella Meta, so not so many mid-rangey things can be good. I don't even know if this counts as mid-range because Cosmo is kind of like the only one that's anti or is like tech for your opponent. The rest of it's just playing big shit on your own, which normally is a good strategy, playing big cards if you can afford them. I don't know. It's fun. Not my jam, but it's kind of a sweet spot where it's like a clever deck that plays big cards, and so like I can go hang out there for a little bit. Okay. Next week, we have Firehair. I'm so excited. A 2/3. When one of your cards is destroyed, this uses that card's on reveal. And this happens as many times as you have on reveals get destroyed. I'm 100% getting her. I am worried about the meta that she's going to engender with stuff like Clog and Mill. But I think there's so many cool things you can do with her, and I'm psyched for that.
Question, does her ability count for Werewolf?
I don't think
let's see what the text of Werewolf is.
Werewolf asks you to play a card.
It's when you play an on-reveal card. You're right. It's not whether or not the on-reveal goes off, because you can play one behind Cosmo and it'll still move.
Yeah, you would have to stage a card to make Werewolf happen.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking like Sinister London, the second on-reveal doesn't move Werewolf, right?
Of course it doesn't, because you didn't stage it.
Yeah, has to be a card you played. So no for Firehair doing that.
But it will follow the card not to the location where it was staged, but wherever it ends up. So if you play Spider-Man, it follows Spider-Man.
Yep.
I have really missed my Werewolf Darkhawk deck that got slain. It was a casualty of the Widows, the Double Widows nerfs and stuff. And so I started working on a deck another Darkhawk deck for Firehair because, Ice Manning
That'll work.
and Cording, all of that. That'd be fun. And Misery. I've always meant to do more with Misery, so those are my plans for Firehair.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Fiddling with the deck, yeah.
I think that's a very good idea because, like, destroying makes more room for the werewolf to run around, and even though it won't, chase back to Firehair or whatever, that would just be too good to be true anyway. I think that's a very cool synergistic lane to walk down.
I was also thinking about like a Deathbird deck, like Death Mockingbird stuff. And you have Firehair on the board when you Killmonger, and all of a sudden you get a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but Killmonger seems like a very cool thing to do with Firehair. What if you're doing like?
Oh, because then it all happens at once. How fun, right?
Nano stones. That's kind of cool.
That's a big setup. The big Firehair payoff.
Dude, Silver Sable stuff. I mean, like, it's a bummer to kill your Silver Sable or whatever, but hit the top card of the deck again. I love making them draw repeated bad,
if you hit multiple different cards,
mokes,
great.
Wither everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, I think she's going to be fun.
I'm going to put Killmonger in my deck, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. Her friends are Cassandra Nova and Nico Minoru, who are both excellent cards if you're missing them.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good Nico variant. I'm hoping to get it.
Those are some staples right there, those two.
Yep.
Yeah, they're kind of muskets.
Yeah, and the Nico and the Firehair are both excellent Spotlight variants. The Cassandra Nova's okay. She's golfing, I think. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
That feels true to the character to me.
Yeah. She is a very, golf and make plans for the world to burn type character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had an OTA today. And first up, a whole bunch of hits to Hela, which is exactly what I think everybody was hoping for.
Do you think there'll be enough?
No. We'll see. I think they will be psychologically enough to back off Hela for quite a bit.
I think they'll be psychologically enough for a certain kind of player, but maybe not all the kinds of players that I would hope.
Let's read them off. Hela goes 6-9 to 6-6, which is a huge hit, just -3 power. Swordmaster and Hellcow lose a point each, 3-6, 4-6. And Black Cat, this change is wacky, 4-10 to 2-6. Yeah.
I love Black Cat. Hopefully I'll get a player again.
I think it's cool if you compare her to another 2-6 like Maximus, where it's like, this is probably a smaller downside, right? The only thing is you can't top deck her on 1.
I
don't know how many.
That's huge for her.
I think I disagree about the relative downsides of Maximus and this Black Cat. I don't think 2-6 is quite big enough. With this downside, I think 2-6 would be great on Silk or a Lizard, as it now is. I
agree with that.
In my opinion,
this downside with the 2-6 bod, I don't know. Go on,
This is a giant buff to her because, before, right, the big thing with Black Cat is you were almost always, you know what I mean? You were drawing her turn 1 and discarding her, and now you have one less card to, do things with, and, your chances of playing with her were now, but now she's both still a great set. 2-6 is a stat to which we have not managed to convince them to put Silk yet, right?
Well said.
So 2-6 is a really great, stat. Lizard's hard to pull off without, if you're not going to get rid of him, because people just be filling their lanes all the time now. So it's a great stat. And now, so pretty much you're going to want to, if you have her and draw her, as if you're not putting her in some dumb deck where you don't you're Doom 2099ing or something, you're going to want to play her for those stats. And now there's only one turn that you draw her on that you can't play her. That's so good. And then you can still and there's still the pulling her back shenanigans, but just for her stats in some kind of deck that's maybe low, like, like I have a deck that is called Squad Small that I like continually update and change over time. It's changed quite a bit, but I use it for the fill all locations bounty. And a lot of it is about like goosing and like making big cards miserable. It's got nothing above a 3 in it. And it's like, I feel like maybe it's time for it to change again. And welcome a little Black Cat.
I do like. I want to like this new version of Black Cat because, as you say, it does like incentivize you to play it alongside a bunch of other small cards. Like you want to have a lot of 1-drops probably, so that you can play Black Cat on 3 and not feel like an idiot. And like I think that also the deck would have 3s so that you could play Black Cat on 5 and not feel like an idiot. And I love 1s, 2s, and 3s, and that's. Like I want this card to be good enough. I'm just not convinced it's there. I mean, like outside of like discard things.
Never believed in Black Cat, Ben.
I knew you would say something like that, and I don't know. I've been rooting for Felicia this whole time. Like, look. I like Black Cat, the character. She's cool.
No, and she meant a lot to me as a little girl that wanted to be a Spider-Man but was born a girl. And she was like she was the one that got to swing around and do stuff. Sure, it was mostly so that people could gaze upon her large chest at various poses, but that was what I had as a kid. So like I've always had a soft spot. I was mad. They did this thing where they made her go insane in the comics and she became a criminal mastermind. It was not just like a boss leader, but like literally like batshit. And it's like, oh, I hate this for her. And she like and then she went to prison and she was just like, I hate Peter, and it's like, what happened to you? Wow. It's what characters do when they get lost sometime and they don't do anything for a while. Some writers are like, well, let's just do some far out shit with them. Okay, say.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how many decks can rock Black Cat like a small things deck. Like it might be pretty quirky to do that. 2/6 might be a little bit too small. I can still see situations where that's better than Maximus, but of course Maximus on the last turn can actually help a Ronin deck. So you can hold him for that last turn, even like even if Ronin like doesn't show up, like it's cool to have a 2/6 to drop on the last turn that you've been hanging on to all game, and you can't hang on to Black Cat. Right. She's Black just unhang on to you play her. Yeah, but Maximus, you don't want to play before turn 6. You don't want to give your opponent.
He's a real sage like that.
Anyway, I think the 2/6
is weird. I hate Maximus for that. I like never play him. I'm like, give them an advantage.
It's a huge advantage.
I totally understand. I'm right there with you. Like it just makes me uncomfortable. Like, why should I give you something? Yes.
Okay. Hella has the new Hella's text now plays 1 card per cost. You're not discarding a 2 in existing Hella decks or in pre-OTA Hella decks, so she might still play Black Cat, given it's 4 less power, so maybe not. But she could play Black Cat for a 2/6, and now she can have a different for, I don't know, a Cole, something like that.
It's true, but who's coming along that, I mean, like, I don't know if this is like anything at all, but I mentioned it last week, and the idea has just sort of like stuck with me. I'm like, would it be fun to discard maybe sometimes Morbius with the first Ghost Rider in like a Hella context? You know what I mean? Yeah. And like that would be the 2-drop I would want to resurrect. Like, if I could get like a 2/8 or a 2/10 or something, like something fun and wild. And then I also get to play that big overstated little Ghost Rider guy. And like, I don't know. I don't know
that he gets to 8 or 10 in Hella, though. Hella is rarely discarding more than 3 or 4 cards.
Maybe.
I hope this Hella changes do what everyone wants, though. It's just that everyone plays less. There's less Hella to be seen. That's all everyone wants.
Hella's just rough. She is rough to play against because it's very uninteractive. She's very hard to counter. Even like the best counters, something like a Fenris and a Cosmos, like you have to have multiple of them and you have to guess right. And she's just hard. And
unless they put down an Invis woman, that's my favorite.
Right. that type of Hela's gone. You hardly ever see it anymore. And I don't even know if it's good with new Hela text. Maybe you can make it work.
No, it's probably not, because I did see it recently and I crushed. I'm like, that's where shit's going down.
Yeah.
They lost.
Juggernaut or Eliath it, yeah. But she also chases everything mid-range out of the meta because she just goes a little bit too tall for them. Yeah. And so then what ends up happening is the meta to answer Hela is Clog and Negative. And that's just like, that is just not a fun meta. Clog, Hela, and Negative are not fun decks to play against when they're taking up a significant portion of the meta. So I'm glad they hit her so hard so fast. I think it says something about Surtur that instead of doing something with Scar, they were like, nope, we're just going to nerf the fuck out of Hela elsewhere. She can keep 7/12 Scar.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice that I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. That's what I say.
Yeah, they've really made it sound like Surtur is a lot better than the like fan sites data shows.
I mean, I could certainly believe that. Like, the data is so incomplete. Like, I was just thinking how I never play on PC anymore, like never, ever. And I like only play on my phone. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who only play on their phones.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah, like this is just like such a tiny subset of the player base, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
Or if not a tiny
like
one, then like
ones.
certainly a misrepresentative or like it's definitely a skewed one. Yeah.
It's biased for sure.
And like, I think a lot of these people are also, in addition to like maybe taking it more seriously than the average player, I think they're also maybe more likely to be followers than thought leaders, perhaps. I don't know. I think maybe some of the people who insist on like using Untapped all the time and only playing on PC are maybe the people who are also getting all their decks on Untapped and playing I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, really.
The next hit, Doombot 2099. I love to see this. The bots are going from 4-1 to 4-0. I'm really not a fan of Doom 2099. I think he gets way too much power for how little work he puts in. You know, he doesn't need to combo with anything specific. Just play one card. Like, it could be any of your one cards. This is a big hit. Like,
so much.
Like, he's like, what, a 4/5 plus 9, a 4/14 now. That's still big, but
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and they specifically called out that this seemed like the only thing they could do, or at least the next step to do, because if they hit Doom 2099 again, then he gets down to
he becomes a Ravonna friend. Yeah, and we love seeing him on 3. That's what I've learned.
Maybe I did that math wrong. Is he an 11? 411? That's not even that big.
No, he's not a 411, is he?
What does he start at? He starts at 4.2?
I think so. I mean, aren't these things in front of us?
I don't have Doombot proper. Or I don't have Doom 2099 proper.
Yeah, he's 4.2. He's
4.2, so he goes up to 4.5.
Right? Or did he make it up to GC Pete's?
Well, this is the kind of math I won't even do when I'm playing.
He's a 4-3. He's a 4-3. That was the last change. The Doombot's lost to power and he gained power. He went 4-2 to 4-3. He's still 4-3. So and he's now the Doombots are 4-0.
He's a 4-12 if you get 3 Doombots
on average.
Now, granted, that's a 4-12 that also gives +9 if you play Doom. Like +9 more if you play Doom proper. Or +6 more if you play...
I think you've done the math wrong. I think if you get 3 Doombots, which is like standard, right? You get 3 Doombot 2099s. They're each 9. They each give themselves +1.
They don't give
they give other Doombots +1. You're right. Okay. All right. I don't know what I'm talking about. Not even a little
Doom
bit.
Goes to 6 and each of the bots are at 2. So he's a 4-12, which 4-12, is Gwenpool and Galacta. This is maybe an appropriate range. I think it might be too hard of a hit. And this is a card I do not like playing against because I think he has a similar problem that Hela does in that he chases out mid-range decks. Like, your just average deck can struggle against Doom if you don't have a way to answer it.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't... You can cancel Doom with like a single card, like a US Agent is often enough to beat Doom 2099.
Well, I don't know if it's often enough. Like at 4-3, it's real easy to hide him, and like if, God forbid, the first Doombot lands in his lane, you know, you're never Red Guardianing that Doom 29. I mean,
no, yeah, he protects himself.
It's not
from
that
the
easy
Red
to Red Guardian Doom 2099. Is all I'm saying.
I just think it's too hard of a card to counter and too easy to do what it does. Right? Like, I don't. If there's a 4/19 out there, but you have to do something fancy and draw really well, you say a Mr. Negative. That doesn't bother me as much. I know people hate negative, but that doesn't bother me nearly as much as Doom 99.
I just feel sorry when I have a crowd. It doesn't bother me, maybe because I'm not like losing to them a lot or something. But like when I see one, I just feel sad for them. Like they only get to play one card a turn now. I'm gonna have way more fun than they are, and generally I do. Also, if you're only playing one card a turn, it gets easier to predict what you are going to do. So it is easier for me to guess correctly and counter things that you are going to do. So. I don't know. That's my problem with Doom 2099. It's like, I'll play it sometimes. I generally play, like, almost everything. I try. Every once in a while, I bust out negative just see, like, maybe now I'll like it. No, never.
I love negative. I do think it's a little bit too consistent nowadays. Okay, Cap Shield. Sam Wilson's token that gets on the board for free is going to 0 cost so that Cole Obsidian can't abuse it. I think that's a good change. I think Cole being a 4/10 means you should have to pay a deck building cost.
I believe if we go back and check the tapes, I complained about the shield having a 1 cost like before it came out. I was like, that's silly and nonsense.
Yeah,
and I still feel that way.
Cole.
And now it doesn't get hit by Marvel Boy. It ruins all the ways that I played this card.
Yeah, Sam is dropped from Zoo now. Yeah.
Oh, I think Sam's still just fine. I think the card still does what it does, and what it does is good.
If Marvel Boy can't buff the shield, I don't even want it.
I don't know. I was playing some in Heimdall, and he was doing just fine. He was still getting big.
Sam is still good, but Zoo is taking a stray for Cole Obsidian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although it shouldn't have worked like this to begin with. It's like, it's nonsense. I don't know. That's my feeling.
There's also something sensible about it being a free card and being a 0. Like, not everything has to work that way, but like it's nice when there is a mnemonic like that.
Well, like sometimes the tokens have a cost and it makes sense. Like the Scarlet Spider token is gonna be 4 cost, you know, and like the Brood tokens are gonna be 3 cost, and the Sinister clone's gonna be 2 cost, and that like all makes a certain kind of sense. But like, why does this 2 cost Captain America start the game with a 1 cost card on the? I don't know. It's weird and wacky. I don't know. That's what I think. I think it always should have been 0.
So that Killmonger hits it and you can be like, haha, it can't be destroyed.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to highlight the vibranium element, I guess maybe that is evocative and like a fun way to make it mechanical and I don't know. Maybe it's always maybe it was appropriate that it should be 1 just for that Killmonger interaction. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, an Electra for our earliest game players. Loki goes from 2/2 to 1/2. I think this is a wild change. Besides Arsham getting him back on turn 1.
Loki was dead. He needed something, and this will have people we can try doing Loki things again. Maybe we'll find something.
Like, is this my entry point? Is this the gateway Loki that gets me hooked?
Just a little time.
Finally convinces Ben.
You know, he seems all right. I mean, like he's just a 1 cost. You can play him anytime. Maybe this is the moment. Who knows? Next week I'll report back and we'll see if I played any Loki. I'd give it about a 40% chance.
40% chance of Loki.
I'm sure you're going to play.
I'm a busy person.
Arsham, right?
I've got other irons in the fire. There's stuff to do.
In the Firehair. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Thanos goes from 6/10 to 6/12. And the Space Stone goes 1/1 to 1/2.
I choose to believe this buff is celebrating Squid Game Season 2, in which one of my favorite K-pop stars plays a rapper called Thanos, whose rhymes will obliterate half the population.
So good.
I wish I was making any of that up, but I totally am not. That's
so
the character.
Glad that you're not.
And he's a lot of fun. Squid Game season 2. Look for my boy TOP as Thanos.
He paints his fingernails the colors of the Infinity Stones, and I saw that early on, and I was like, oh my gosh, are those the Infinity Stones? And sure enough, it comes up later that yes, those are. That's just fantastic.
But yeah, the big buff, I think. 612. Oh man, I don't know about all that.
A 512 with Time Stone. 522 when you get Power Stone working properly.
This is big. Too big, I think.
Maybe
you know what Magneto's secret has always been? He's also the Hulk.
Yeah. It is very big, and you definitely draw this card, right? Thanos starts in your hand. But they've readjusted all the stones to be Thanos focused, and I think it's cool when Thanos does the thing that he's even bigger than the Infinite.
I'm into it.
I suppose.
I'll give it a try.
It's flavorful. I mean, he is the big bad. I mean,
I just want to play Mockingbird some more, to be honest.
Mockingbird goes great in this. I'm really gonna try that Mockingbird Thanos. It's gonna be cool. And Death and Firehair. Okay, Wolverine 2-2 to 2-3. Good. We like seeing cards buff early cards, and
this had me bust out
characters.
Some of my own destroy fun, like my own Gundam decks and stuff. Just I like it. I'm glad. I'm glad Wolverine's getting this.
I see him, and I wonder if could I perhaps play him in discard again? Does this point of power make that enough? Does this make that difference? I don't think it does.
Usually not. No.
I
like that they have that option with Wolverine in X-23. I like it.
He was good enough when I first got into discard, and that makes me sad that he's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, make a
not since Proxima hit the scene.
It's like we're Wolverine in X-23. It's they're usually part of the X-Men and stuff, but sometimes they go off on their own journeys and do stuff, and that's when they're in discard, and it's just whatever it is. Anyway, yay for
doing
Wolverine.
Crossover adventures with Blade, that kind of thing.
Exactly, you get it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Bruce Banner. 2 changes, only one of which affects the text. Still a 2-1, but at the end of the turn, if you have unspent energy, a 33% chance to Hulk out instead of 25.
I mean, we saw this coming, right?
We saw it coming, but I hate it.
Yeah, I also hate it, and yeah.
We don't want Bruce to be a good card.
No.
Oh, we don't?
Nope.
I was excited. Now I'll play him. I'll try him in Spider Bay. He wasn't good enough before, but now maybe he
Do you want to play against people who are running Bruce Banner, though? On the
No,
last turn, there's a random chance that they get plus 11 power.
That's why you got a Red Guardian him.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-1.
You're going to spend your 3 energy to stop their 2.
It's vulnerable. Only if they don't have... It depends what they're playing. What are they playing in this deck?
Also,
what else am I taking out?
Change,
Misty Knight? This is going in high Evo, right?
Oh, I have things to say about the second change.
Yeah, additional change not reflected in text. That's what we need. Let's introduce card-specific rules just for Bruce Banner that we're not telling you about in the text. What? Goofy.
So
that's my generous
Bruce,
interpretation.
The new change is that Bruce keeps power modifiers after hulking out. And I'm fine with that, except that's not how any other transforming card works.
Nope, not even a little.
So it should be in the text if it's somehow everything else works.
Fine with that being an ability, but it needs to be... Oh, I don't have Bruce Banner. I was going to check if they updated the, the new, examine the card to see the additional text.
Oh, does he have tooltips?
I don't know. I don't have him.
Oh, well, the good news is I have Bruce Banner now, so we can get to the bottom of this.
The other cards that have transform have a tooltip that specifically says their power modifiers are reset. I think there are 2 ways that they can do this.
His only tooltip is about end of turn. There's not even a tooltip about hulking out.
That is missing the point of the tooltip.
Yep.
I'm fine if transform cards keep their modifiers, but it should be consistent. And I have two proposals for this. One, every card that transforms is consistent. I don't care if it's Cersei or Tarnax or Nico or Morph. I don't care. My other one is cards that transform themselves keep their power. I'm fine with that too. That would be, Morph, Bruce Banner, and Khonshu. But I want it to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I understand Rule of Cool. I get that. Like, it's fun that Bruce, you can beef him up a little bit. What are you hitting him with anyway? Like,
Gwenpool, like, whatever. Just
you're gonna miss out on a few
America
turns.
Chavez. I don't incidental things. Wakandan Embassy. Stuff happens. Yeah. Cards change power.
But it's also cool that they restart. Like, I won a game the other day against Ajax and Mystique Ajax and Hazmat because I Cersei'd 3 of my cards, and all of a sudden they weren't inflicted anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is cool.
Okay, I did math on Bruce. Previously, the average was it would take him 4 turns on average to Hulk out. Now it's 3. The other thing is, generally, if you play him on 2, right, you have 4 turns to proc him. He used to have a 69% chance to Hulk out in 4 turns. Now he has an 80% chance to Hulk out in 4 turns. Well, 80.5.
If you're skipping energy all those turns.
That's a big jump. That's like an 11% increase. Yeah, right. You have to skip 4 energy to do it. If you only skip 2 energy, then it used to be a 44% chance, and now it's a 56% chance. So, like, this is a meaningful increase, right?
But it's still just a tough thing to pull off, because I played plenty of High Evo and Sunspot and stuff, and it's like, okay, generally all the ways that I've done this stuff, you have a card you want to play on turn 3 that's 3 cost, you know what I mean, like Cyclops, whatever you're doing. So it's just like,
is this the deck that plays Black Cat? You play Black Cat on 3, and then you have an energy. No, I don't actually think that's the thing. I'm just like, there are these loose pieces in my brain, and I'm like, I was just complaining about a 2 cost that you would want to play on turn 3, and then you would have an extra energy, and you would need to play 1 cost to go with that. Except, it was still in the RAM.
I wonder, I feel like this makes them way more playable, though, because before it's like, I'm not skipping enough energy that I'm going to practice. There's no way this is a good enough 2 cost. And now it's like, oh, there's a much bigger chance. So even though even if I get them down on 2, it's not likely I'm going to skip energy every single turn after that. Because like a lot of people aren't playing Shocker in like those.
Yeah, I would say nobody's playing Shocker.
Right, so that's the thing. When you start skipping energy in those decks, it's usually from turn 3 on, or you've also skipped 1 because you didn't draw something. Otherwise, you've got Misty. You think about the progression of cards you want to play. Like, so
you're like already subtracting 1 from the Bruce Banner chances because you're not. That's what I'm saying. Like, because you're talking about straight statistics, and when I'm thinking, I'm like, well, this is the way that I would play it, and sure, other people would play it differently. In practice, it won't. But
that's why in practice, things that seem super powerful really aren't, because it's not worth. You know what I mean? Like skipping playing Cyclops or whatever isn't going to be worth it for like a Hulk at the end of the game. You know what I mean? Like compared to other things that you're building towards, like that are not. That's why you don't just play straight power the whole game, because you can add things up more to the sum of the parts. So anyway, I just think we were
with
thinking
3
about
bites at the apple.
3 is now 71%.
Just saying it's a consideration, and maybe this is too powerful. I'm just saying because you almost definitely are not skipping all of those turns, even if you play them on 2.
I've been playing a decent amount of High Evo skip energy deck recently because I'm playing Hulk just to try to make Baby Hulk appear. It might all be a conspiracy. It might all be a coincidence, but it's worked very well for every other variant I wanted. So I'm sticking to it. If you get 5 turns, that deck is playing Limbo. If you get 5, it used to be 76%, and now it's 87. Like, it's pretty wild.
But if you're putting in the effort of putting in magic to get Limbo,
those decks often run magic.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like but it's still just not free. And then like there are other cards who cost cards. Like Angela could get to a 12 if I put in enough work. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Havoc definitely.
This version of Angela? Angela as she exists.
To do a lot of work
in the month of March.
In Sanctum, she can get bigger because the game goes. I don't know. You can do more stuff. All right.
And I didn't finish up my thought with saying that that I've been playing it a lot lately, and I am skipping energy almost every single turn. Like you're generally just playing a turn behind. It depends, right? Like if I don't have Misty on the board, then I'm fine with dropping Cyclops on 3. Like it's fine because then maybe
whether
I
you get
Magic
four swings at the pinata or 3 swings at the pinata, it's probably breaking open and getting Hulk everywhere.
Yep. Gross.
Like an egg of Hulk.
It's definitely a big improvement. I just don't want this card to be.
Is this a card that should be improved? I think we would. Ree, are you rooting for Bruce? It's okay if you're rooting for Bruce. You can be honest.
I don't want him to be a menace, but I don't want him. Like, what the other option is? He sits around for another 5 months until they think about doing a rework. Like, I like that this change made me want to try this card. Will we find out that we hate this card? Maybe. But before I opened this card and I was visibly disappointed. Brand new Series 5 card. I'm like, I am so disappointed to have rolled this from Sanctum. And now it's card. Like, I'll put this in Spider Bay. Seems all right. Or you know what I mean? Or I'll try other things with it. So like that's the exciting part to me. If he becomes a menace, obviously boo.
All right. I'm gonna borrow some of your optimism. I'm
Series 5 cards should feel good.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm giving this change a wait and see. I don't have a hard opinion about it yet.
Yeah. But okay, generally I love that Snap. Basically every card is playable. Most cards are playable, even if it's in a very niche way. I'm okay if there's weirdo cards that aren't good. Like you have to, this is for somebody who wants to play the RNG game. I'm fine with that. Stay over there. Like it's cool when it happens. But I don't want it to be a card that
some Mimi decks though, and I had no interest in this card.
Meming is fine. I'm fine if he's good enough for a meme deck, but I don't want him to be good enough for a competitive player to play ever.
I've played Hercules. You know what I mean? Like
we love Hercules. Even though he's one of the
honestly
forbidden
rarely. But like,
some of us love Hercules.
I'm just saying, for me to have a card to be as little interested in it, and it's not because it's some big 6-drop dummy card. I mean, not like people who play it are dummies, but like the card itself is a big dummy stat stick or whatever. Yes. It's like, this should be a card that intrigues someone like me, and it does not, and that is a problem.
That's fair. Final change. Deep Space is being turned off for now because it has bad interactions with Iron Patriot. I'm not sure exactly how you trigger it. I think Iron Patriot is played right on turn 2, and then on turn 3, Deep Space appears. And then the game repeats his animation over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that how that... okay, I think I've seen it, but I don't think I knew what caused it.
I didn't pay attention.
Yep. So instead of fixing it, they're just disabling it, which I'm sure they'll fix it eventually, and Deep Space will come back because it's a somewhat interesting location. But
is that?
I like Deep Space.
I like Deep Space.
I like that Nico can affect it.
That's very
cool. Clever when you do it.
Yeah. I think she and Legion are the only ones who can get rid of it.
Yep, Nocturne's not doing it, that's for sure.
On to our side quests. This week, secret homework assigned by Ree. Take it away.
Okay. Yes. So my secret homework was to recommend an obscure game. And I have, as we probably all do as gamers, have tons of really obscure games. The first things that came to mind, I actually discarded them because they were all old favorite nostalgia games. And I'm like, would they actually be good to recommend today? Would someone still be able to enjoy them the same? And I wouldn't want to do that unless I went back and replayed them recently, even though it's the color of my nostalgia. So I dug and I was like, let me just think, I hope this is sufficiently obscure. But I wanted to pick a very different style of game to what I would normally play. It came out in 2015, and to look it up, it was written and directed by Sam Barlow. It's called Her Story. I feel like I've talked to Lauren about it before. You probably
I've played this game.
Yeah. It's the idea is the whole game, there's only one basic mechanic, which is a search engine. And you're basically looking to uncover the story basically through like kind of like police interviews and stuff. So the only thing you have is search. And so like you're looking at these videos and kind of trying to solve a mystery and, discover new things through the search. And I have a real soft spot. When I was a teen, I really wanted to be a detective. That was like legit my goals. Like I will, and it turns out like the television view of the police force does not quite line up to the reality of situations. But there was a time where like my dream was to be like, I'm going to be a cool detective in a trench coat and a fedora. No, okay, no,
You would rock
I
that.
realized that modern detectives happened, but like I loved solving things. So anyway, this kind of satisfied that itch. If I loved watching like detective series and pretending a detective, and I got to do that, and it's just such a different. It was at the time, we've seen a lot of different things now, but it's just the idea that you're just kind of like investigating through searching the internet, which is something we do all the time. So that's I have plenty of others that I thought about going back, and we talked about whether we were going to allow honorable mentions, and we decided no, because maybe we will bring this back, so we will save them or we will talk forever about the many obscure games we know. So with that said, I think Ben is assigning new homework, and I will pass the secret homework baton to Lauren.
Okay. My list, which I tried to keep throughout the week, is 44 long, and it honestly could have been a lot longer. Because this was just off the top of my head. I didn't scroll through my my libraries or anything like that. But I'm going with the very first thing that came to mind. It started as iOS, but you can get it on Windows, Mac, or Wii U also. It's called Yearwalk, and it's by this little studio called Simogo, which makes lovely iOS games that are often very narrative heavy. This is based on a Swedish tradition called Osgång, something like that. I don't speak Swedish, where you go on a walk at night in the middle of winter, and you starve yourself all day. You skip water, you avoid fire, and then at the chime of midnight, you go walking out towards the church, and you see like a procession of people, and that could tell you like who's going to have funerals within the next year. And like this is a real thing that they based a fictional story on, and it's creepy. This is a 2013. I don't know if I said that. So I played this when I was working night shift, and I don't know what I was thinking because it is a little scary. I'd be lying if I said there were 0 jump scares. But the thing that it does so beautifully that I think is super interesting is once you beat the game, you then, it's not quite over yet. Like there's an extra bit of story if you go into a companion app that they released that told you like, on the surface, the companion app is just telling you like some of the Swedish folklore surrounding the monsters and ghosts that you see. But when you beat the game, you get a code that you can use in the companion app that unlocks a whole like second ending. And I've played other games that have done this since, but it was one of the first that I did where it was like just this like, oh, this really interesting experience that I felt like I discovered. They didn't market it this way at all. And so sorry I spoiled it for all of you. I played it this week, knocked out the whole thing, including the second ending in like less than 2 hours. So it's still functional if you want to hunt it down. It is a little scary, but very cool. It does some fun things with the fact that it's mobile. At some point you're seeking out, there's no easy way to say this, drowned babies. It's related to one of the Swedish folklore stories. And when you
this game sounds like the ray of sunshine we all need in our lives right now.
It's a little disturbing, but it's just so fascinating. And it has, I don't know if a happy ending is the right way to do it, but you are like, as somebody in the present, you are influencing the past in a meaningful way, in a positive way. It's not exactly cheery, but you make things better. And anyway, so at one point you find blood dripping upwards. And what do you do to solve the puzzle? You hold your phone upside down. Like, just a little cute things like that. Anyway, it's cool art. It got me into like one of my first steps into valuing story and not just gameplay, which I used to be really like heavy on, like mechanics are king, like story's great, mechanics have to be good. And I've increasingly found that there are other things that make a game valuable. And, you know, even if it's a 90-minute game that is story heavy more than anything else, it still has a lot of value. I recommend it if you are not if you're not too scared for a couple of jump scares. Ben.
Oh,
Man.
all right.
I'm so afraid of jump scares.
Well, my game has no jump scares in it. And the story of how I came to play this game is like a little odd. So it seems relevant because like this game is so obscure. It's like, how did I actually come to play this game? So it's Christmas 2002. I've been raised in a household where like we don't really fucks with video games. Like you can maybe play an educational computer game if we ordered it out of the book orders at school, but certainly none of these games that you would see in the PC games aisle at Target or whatever with all these, you know, creepy covers and things. But yeah, mostly educational stuff. But like after much pleading and begging and, you know, getting a foot in the door with the Game Boy Color after much begging and pleading, like this was the first video game thing that I was allowed to have was the Game Boy Color. But then it was 2002 Christmas, and like the DVD was becoming the standard for home video. So we had to we ended up, my parents decided of their own volition with no like cajoling or too much pressure that like the smart thing to do would be to get a PS2 from Best Buy. And because my family is much like me, they of course opted to get the one that had been opened and returned because it's cheaper. So it was like $30 cheaper or something. So they get this opened and returned PS2, and it has a disc in it. And I'm left to conclude that this JRPG was so like obtuse and just like wild that whoever got this PS2 bounced off of it so hard that they returned the PS2 to Best Buy with the game disc inside. And it took me years to like actually figure out how this happened. Like, why was there this weird disc that just came inside the PS2? I thought, did every PS2 ship with a copy of Grandia Extreme? Because that's the game, Grandia Extreme. You may have heard of the Grandia series. This is not one of the numbered titles. For those who don't know, the Grandia series was a series of JRPGs in I want to say the late 90s. Yes, the first game came out in 1997 for the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn. That was Grandia. I haven't played that one. I've played the others. I've played Grandia 2 and I've played Grandia Extreme and Grandia 3 because they were all available on PS2. Although Grandia 2 was also on Dreamcast and has since been ported to PC. Grandia Extreme is only playable on the PlayStation 2. It did not sell very well. It was very strange. It's so hard to describe. It was a JRPG. It had some celebrity voice actors in it, and this was before every game had celebrity voice actors in it, and the celebrities were of a certain caliber that like, okay, there were 3 celebrities in the cast. Mark Hamill, by far the most famous, voiced the antagonist Colonel Kreutz, and he was great. The main character was played by Dean Cain from Lois and Clark and a bunch of Lifetime movies and stuff. And Lisa Loeb, the musician, played the character of Lutina. And wow, this game was so like punishingly difficult. It had very unforgiving mechanics. There is one place to save in the entire game, and like you have to travel back to your like home base to save. And like the teleport points, the travel points are not generous. Some of them are only one way. So like if you want to go back home and save, you got to start the whole dungeon over, baby. Like, there. And then there's a post-game dungeon that's 100 floors long, and you have to open a gateway to get back into the dungeon to resume it. And then you can open up a one-way gateway back home 5 floors later. So if you decide that you need to go back home or save the game and do something else with your life or whatever, you need to know that you can grind through 5 more floors of procedurally generated dungeon to like save your progress. There were so many strange and punishing things, but like I do love this game. This game is like phenomenal. It has like all 8 of the characters are very different. They each have like their own unique moves and things. Also, they have equipment that like the equipment is equipable by different characters, determined basically by like how butch is this character? Is this character allowed to wear this shirt? Like if it's one of the more effeminate men, they can wear this shirt, but not if it's one of the macho men and stuff like that. Like this is such a weird big sandbox of a game. Like there are so many strange pieces of equipment with unusual effects. Like, oh well, you'll always be berserk if you put on this mask, but it will make you have a really strong critical attack, and like just like so many strange pieces of equipment, strange skills. There was a lovely mana egg system by which you would synthesize things and you just like breed them like chocobos or whatever, except like very cool game. Very no one's played it.
It didn't happen.
Yes, very turn-based.
You already said that.
It has like just a beautiful battle system that is in many ways like too good for the rest of the game. It is so weird and wild, and the music is phenomenal. I love it. It like has like it's got like jazz fusion elements, like prog rock, like city pop. It's like drawing from all kinds of things, and it's like very bright and colorful graphically, and like everything looks very clean and crisp. Just a beautiful game with a lot of cool things and a lot of like impossibly unfriendly things about it. I played this game without a manual or anything, and there are so many like all the characters have so many goddamn statistics, and they're all represented by like 3 letters, and like you're like, I don't know what RES means, but I figured it out over like many years and trial and error. Like I understand all the systems of the game, but like oh baby, it did not come easily. And I love that game, and I miss having a functioning PS2 on which to play it. I still have a memory card with.
I still do,
files and things.
And I didn't keep my PS1, but I kept the memory card because you can. You have to save PS. You can play PlayStation 1 games on a PS2, but you can only save them on a PlayStation 1 memory card.
Oh,
old console problems. Yeah,
it's true.
Hey, I wonder if you can emulate that. Anyway.
Probably emulate everything.
Next week's homework.
Or wait, the memory card thing. I don't know. I might be misremembering some things about memory cards. There's something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to remember how I played PlayStation 1 game. Did I have a PlayStation 1 memory card? I don't know. Whatever. My memory might be tricking me. It's happened before.
Should have installed a memory card. Maybe it went corrupt. Okay, sorry.
Am I assigning homework?
Yeah.
Is that why we've arrived at the dead air moment? Okay,
that's why Rhea and I are being quiet.
Very cool secret homework assignment that everyone's super excited about. So eager are all of us. All right. So you may remember a few weeks ago we had I guess my last one was the what if thing, but the one before that was the Infinity Challenge, where I was like, okay, any character from the first Marvel HeroClix set that hasn't had a Marvel Snap card yet, pick one of those and make one. Well, it turned out that like because of reasons obvious and unfortunate, like all of the female characters in the first HeroClix set have already got Marvel Snap cards. So what I did was I went through the first 5 HeroClix sets of Marvel HeroClix, and I found every female character that is not yet represented on a Marvel Snap card. And the sets in question that I went through were from 2002, the second HeroClix set, Clobber in Time, a smaller expansion. Then 2003's Explosion and Critical Mass. And then 2004's Ultimates set. These are the sets that I picked the female characters from that are not yet in Snap. And those characters, some of them we've designed cards for in the past because, the same reasons that there were not enough female characters in the first HeroClix set. Anyway, point is, here are the characters. And I will, of course, mention the ones that we've already secret homeworked cards for. Spiral, Destiny. I've designed a Destiny card. I believe that was for my X-Men Legends 2 season. Madame Mask, or Madame Mask, if you prefer. Boom Boom, character who has had many other names, I believe, but Boom Boom is the one we're going with. Then we've got Deathbird, the one that has a name that confuses me every time Lauren wants to talk about a certain kind of deck. Then we've got Hepzibah, one of the Starjammers, and apparently a character that's been used in a lot of recent comics that I was unaware of until I started doing some research for this secret homework. Marrow, a Morlock and an X-person, and just a real bony one. Calypso, Morgan Le Fay, Princess Python, Callisto, Anaconda, Hellcat. Ree's already designed a Hellcat card, Vindicator, and Goblin Queen. And Scott has a theory that Second Dinner does not know the difference between the Goblin Queen and Celine or Selene, if you prefer. He thinks that they think these are the same character, and that's why she synergizes with goblins.
Yeah,
that's his theory, and I think he's right. That's yep. I think they're just a little confused. They dress similarly. I get it.
Surely they watched the new X-Men show.
Yeah, you would think,
and they know now. They know.
I don't think they did at the time. But yeah, that's like 15 characters or so. I'll put the list on the Discord or whatever. Also, there was one other female character, Brood Queen, although it's unclear to me what kind of brood the brood on Brood is. So that might already be a Brood Queen. I don't know. It seems that they... What was that?
I did a Brood Queen for secret homework.
Oh, you did already? Okay, well then that one would have had an asterisk by it anyway. Yeah, you did actually. No, okay. I thought that seemed a little... I don't expect
you to remember them all.
There have been quite a few now. Okay. Honestly, we've gotten there. Okay, so those were the cards.
We love to design cards.
Yeah, we do. Lots of good ones there.
I like to talk about video games and comics.
Well, you get to
they take less look prep at all these. Work. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you have feelings about some of these characters.
No, I'm already excited. Boom Boom is a character I've kind of seen around for a while and has lately come more into my attention. I'm like, she seems cool. I would like to read more about her. And I will take this opportunity to do so. Sorry for spoiling it. Spoilers.
Hey, feel free to zag on us. Just because you talked about Boom Boom today doesn't mean you have to bring her.
Also, wait, wasn't that in Battlestar Galactica? Like Shan Boom Boom Valeri?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Because
also, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a little show called Are You the One? A reality romance show that oh man, it's so hard to describe the premise, but there is part of the format involves inviting someone else to the Boom Boom room, which is what it sounds like.
No,
and it has the dumbest name. Just
you ruined it.
I know.
Mine is cooler because
yours is cooler, but I needed to tell you about mine. It was too much for me to carry by myself. You understand that, right?
Shoulder this burden.
I'm gonna save it so that's not the last thing we had. So I've seen the show once. It fell apart at the end, but the board game. If you're a gamer, you know the Battlestar.
I love the board game. I love the Battlestar Galactica board game. I play it with my friend Jeremy. Oh man, yep. Only
one person. You need. Okay, I was so good at it.
No. I also make my spouse. Don't get me wrong.
Perfect.
We assemble a a squadron of what are the ships? You know, the ones that the humans have, not the Cylon ones.
Fleet? I don't know.
You know, the ships have names. They've got, what are they? Are they Vipers? I forget what they are.
Yeah,
they
Vipers. That's what they're called. They're Vipers. But
we assemble a Viper squadron.
We were okay, so this game, I was really good at it because I could always figure out who the Cylons were, but then no one would believe me because I, would behave maybe similarly to when I was a Cylon. And, it was like the original hidden role game. It was so good when it came out, and you could base it because the idea is it's actually based in sci-fi. Some people are secret robots and you'd be doing stuff around the ship, and it made sense. And then they took it all to all this secret Hitler stuff where it's based on nothing, and that's no fun for me. I hate dumbed down hidden role games, but in this one, that's how I know the card, because it was always Sharon boom boom Valeri. That's what it says, Sharon boom boom Valeri. Oh, side note, if you were really into the Battlestar Galactica game, they reskinned it into Cthulhu, which, once you strip that of all the racism, Cthulhu mythology is fun. And so it's called oh no, what is it called? It's such a generic-y, eldritch horror kind of name. But it's just Battlestar Galactica reskinned where you're on a boat. And some people are, are hidden cultists. And it's so if you want to play modern take on it. Okay, sorry.
Also, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but there was a Battlestar Galactica trading card game, and the cards did have the corners cut off of them, just like every piece of paper that was handed around on the bridge. Okay. I know I've said it on the podcast before, but it bears repeating because it's wild.
Is the game name Unfathomable?
Yes, that's
that sounds right. It does have a clever little.
I have to admit,
but it's just sorry.
I've never played Battlestar Galactica or Unfathomable, even though I almost played Battlestar Galactica once. It was at the table. I don't know what happened. But I've played a bunch of hidden role games.
Okay,
I have a bunch of hidden role games. No, I played fantastic ones, and decent ones. But I have a problem that sounds similar to what you have. I am a convincing liar, but nobody believes me when I'm telling the truth. I'm bad at telling the truth. I don't know. Anyway, if you like what you heard, do the things like comment, subscribe, etc. You can find the information to do those things or to join us on our Discord in the show notes or the video description. We're on YouTube if you're not watching us there. We're on podcast apps if you're not listening to us there. You don't need to do both. It's the same content, except you guys see our pretty faces in one of them. We are proud to be members of the Snap Judgments Network, where you can listen to other great shows like newcomer, the InfiNOT Podcast. That's InfiNOT ending in N-O-T, hosted by Kier Nimbus. I listened to it today, and I really enjoyed it. It was 20 minutes long. So if you're looking for some shorter form Snap podcasting coverage, you can tune into the InfiNOT Podcast on Saturdays. Anyway, if you want to tune in next week, I think we're going to be playing Title Tussle 5. And now we have to, now that I've said that.
Yeah. That thing where it's it never happens, what we say will happen on next pod. That would be a fun thing.
Oh, that'd be really fun. Arrested Development. Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to see us fight Cylons next episode, tune in next week. Same Snap time, same Snap channel.
It's so much warmer in this room than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know why, but I am also quite toasty, and yeah.
And Lauren's
it's not because we're in close
super. How is it cold
no.
where you are?
Proximity.
I am toasty, having worn this all episode. But here's why I've been a beanie girl lately. I started a new job at the end of January, and it's work from home, and my office is in the basement. So I'm bundling up every day. I've got a heated blanket, I've got slippers, I've got, beanies every single day. And sometimes I just keep them on all day. So that's where we're at. You told me you had some bullshit you want to talk about.
No, it was only bullshit if we had nothing else. It's such shower thoughts. But it's only relevant this week because it's about hair, and Firehair is next week. But I was, okay, this is a little bit of narcissism. I am sorry to admit to it. But if you watch the podcast, you may notice my hair changes on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And I have moved from like a phase, and I was thinking this, and like it was more of like a synthwave laser sword master, phase of hair. And so I'm like, what is this? More like fairy princess? And I was like, no, because I wouldn't want to be a princess. What would I want to be? And I was like, probably the leader of the Toad Battalion, But then I was like, wait a minute, fairies have wings. Why are they riding on toads? And I'm like, well, very ableist of you, because, some fairies might have been injured with their wings, or maybe some weren't born well, and they still want to fight, the fairy wars to defend the fairy homeland. Plus, think about this. So that's already, it feels, you're like in the Toad Battalion, which is full of all the fairies that are cool enough to like, have faced some hardships and still be like, we're the baddest mofo fairies around. But like lances are heavy. So like it makes sense that like you couldn't carry a lance as a fairy and also fly. You would probably need to ride a toad. And I was like, lances are not as cool as swords, but sometimes you like to shake things up. No, and sometimes you need it for the triangle strategy of like, sword, lances beat swords beat archery kind of for those.
So I feel like I've seen some Magic the Gathering fairies with some lances, and they looked pretty cool.
It's probably because a lance
round about the Lorwyn block, I want to say. That's where I saw these lance fairies.
Wait, where?
Not about the Lorwyn block. I just want to like chronologically place where I'm recalling seeing these cool looking lance fairies, and I think it was Lorwyn block.
All right, so end of the day, so 1, 2, I felt bad because I was like totally dissing on my last Pathfinder session on maces. I was like, who would have them carry a mace and a sword, right? Like, that's so late. I don't know. I just find it's like my little morning star thing, like versus a sword. And I felt this is what I always do. Like when I mock people for not having, I'm like, who hasn't watched Star Wars at this point in their life unless they're trying? And then someone's like, I've never seen Star Wars. I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetheart, you're very sweet, and I should never.
It's actually like a lot easier to not see things than to see things.
I know, right? So this is why I'm socially awkward and constantly putting my foot in my mouth. So I was just like, yeah, maces are dumb. And it's like, I like maces. And it was probably because you're the kind of person who would play a cleric, which is true. And then also I was dissing clerics. But
I mean, in my current campaign, I'm a Tempest cleric in 5e, just doing destructive waves and all.
Do you have a mace?
Nonsense. No, actually.
So you're fine.
No.
Okay. Parting shower thought, a lance is a 10-foot pole you would touch someone with. That's what's happening.
Is that what all that setup was?
No, actually, I was more interested in the hair part, to be honest. But yeah.
Fair enough.